Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it. I just want to run a couple things by you real quick here. What did Secretary Elnahal say to you specifically about how this took place? Did he get an email with the list of folks?
He didn't recall. He said he got the email of the list of folks.
Yeah.
He then said he was on an airplane.
Yeah, very busy. Check Raj.
Airplane had, the email had 3 tabs.
Yeah.
The first tab had about 20 names, the other tab had the rest, and then the third tab was the total.
Would this be the first tab?
I believe that's correct.
It would be. I ask unanimous consent to enter that into the record. Would this be the other tab? Can we, just by volume?
I think that looks,
Yeah.
I can't see it, but that does look like it.
I asked unanimous consent to enter this into the record. So this is the one that,
Without objection.
thank you, Dr. Elnahal checked on, this tab.
That's what he told
But he
us.
seemed to miss this one, right?
He said he didn't open that.
Yeah, okay. What's the average retirement salary of a E7 that has served their country in training, in peacetime, and combat over 20 years?
I don't know that information.
I do. The answer is $34,810. So an E7 that has served their country for over 20 years will receive a pension of $34,810. If I look at tab 1 here, every single one of these bonuses exceeds that by at least $13,000. And if I look at this tab here, this one, and I go all the way down, right? Every single one of these bonuses exceeds an E7 who served their country in combat's retirement. The lowest one you got here is $38,584. That E7's retirement, male, female, doesn't matter who they are, $34,810. Okay. Could you agree that something is wrong here?
Our report found lots of things that were wrong.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, I just want to make sure that this is cleared up, because I spoke to Secretary Elnahal last night and today. I spoke to the Secretary today. And you're not really the person I want to talk to. I want to talk to the Secretary personally and publicly. And I'd like to also speak to Undersecretary Dr. Elnahal publicly, but he's not here. So I want to commend you for your work. You've done a good thing. And I believe that your department is putting the benefit, or excuse me, the welfare of veterans above a bureaucracy. And this is ironclad proof that the Veterans Affairs bureaucracy is putting themselves above our veterans. So with that, sir, again, thank you so much for your work, and I'll be standing by to speak to the Secretary when he's here.
Thank you.
With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Ranking member.
Mr. Chairman, I understand the point that the gentleman is making by entering information in the record, but I just want to make sure, Mr. Chairman, that the documents entered in the record are appropriately redacted to remove personal identifiable information.
We will make sure that they are, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond? I may.
Say again, I'm sorry.
I would say to this, or this to the ranking member, part of the reason this problem keeps happening is because we keep covering up people. We keep covering up their identification. Sir, this is publicly available information with every single person's name and department that received these bonuses that far exceeds the retirement, annual retirement for a person at the rank of E7 that served in combat. So unless this is illegal, I am asking to have this and this entered into the permanent record with these people's names. Time to end this. Mr. Takano. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to frame this thing in a way that people can understand. The relationship between you, the VA, veterans, this committee, the American people, and me. You are President Obama's former chief of staff, correct?
Yes, correct.
I was the first Republican challenger in the nation that Donald Trump endorsed in 2022. Can't really get farther apart than that. Secretary Elnahal has called me personally multiple times when there's been issues with the VA, particularly with the Toma VA, because that's in my district. Everything from laboratory equipment not being calibrated properly to a personal issue with one of my constituents who unfortunately died due to something that happened with the VA. You have personally called me when there's been issues with housing stipends for veterans, multiple other issues. You've called me personally. But I'm going to say something now publicly that's been private for a long period of time so that people truly understand who you are. My daughter died this summer. Several members of Congress, Aaron Bean, Mike Collins, Kevin McCarthy, and Mark from Missouri, Alford from Missouri came. And we're all sitting there, and that funeral was about to start. And there was a bit of a kerfuffle, and you walked in the church. You didn't tell me, you didn't tell anybody. You came to my daughter's funeral, unannounced, as just a civilian and as a man. And that speaks to your character. It does, and I respect it tremendously. I'll never forget that. This is why what I'm going to say is so incredibly painful to me personally. The average E7 gets $37,810 a year retirement. Your department awarded these folks, this entire list of people, more than that in one fell swoop. And that's wrong.
I agree with that.
You said earlier I should be held accountable. I took the opportunity to write a resignation letter for Mr. Elnahal, and it's addressed to you, and it's about this issue. And I spoke to him last night, I spoke to him again this morning, I spoke to you. Isaiah 1:18 says, "Come now, let us reason together," right? So it's time that we talk. And I cannot justify Mr. Elnahal serving in the capacity that he does now. I can't. And all these things are very important questions and whatnot. But I cannot justify his employment any longer. So, Mr. Secretary, I'm going to give you the opportunity to do what you just asked to do, to be held accountable. And I'm going to change this from Dr. Elnahal to Secretary Dennis McDonough. I'm going to change it from Secretary Dennis McDonough to President Biden, because this is a systemic problem, and I do not think that you are capable of serving in this capacity any longer. And that breaks my heart to say that, but I believe that to be true. And I say that with the utmost respect. With that, I yield back. I've asked my Democrat colleagues and Republicans if they'd like a second round of questioning, and they don't. So we're going to close here, but I just have to say some things here. I want to reiterate what Mr. Luttrell said about veteran suicide. This committee has allocated $120 billion since 9/11 for veteran suicide prevention, $1.6 billion this last fiscal year, and the suicide rate is increasing, and you're responsible for giving a bonus to the person that's in charge of increasing veteran suicide. That's reality. Platitudes don't count. We go to funerals. We look at kids whose parents are dead in the eye because of your failure of leadership at the VA. That's reality. You said that we're not going to succeed with the folks that without the folks that you have. Mr. Luttrell aptly pointed out you're failing with them. So what's the difference? You guys have taken the my bad defense. You said 92% of all of these payments have been recouped. The reason 92% have been recouped is because you guys got busted. You got rolled up hard. 0% of all of these monies would have been recouped if you were not caught red-handed. That's also a fact.
I stopped them.
Mr. McDonough, you have a choice, and it's binary. You and Mr. Elnahal can become the face of everything that everybody hates about Washington, D.C. Corruption, cocktail parties, institutions above individuals, literally paying millions of dollars to each other for failing. Or you can stand up like the man that I know you are personally. You're a man of character. So is Mr. Elnahal. You can stand up now or speak to your subordinates and have them tenure their resignation, and you can turn a new leaf. You can start a new chapter in government accountability. You do come up here and you take heavies all the time. It means nothing. It means nothing because our veterans are killing themselves. Drug and alcohol addiction skyrocketing, spousal abuse skyrocketing, mental health issues skyrocketing. All under your watch, sir, and Mr. Elnahal's watch. So the binary choice is this: be remembered in history as someone who has abjectly failed, or be the new start. Recreate the government and be accountable and stand up for the person that I know you are. I ask unanimous consent that all members shall have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include any extraneous material. Hearing no objections, so ordered. This hearing is now adjourned.